It's our second 100-degree day of the year, and it's very, very hot outside. So I'm gonna just stay inside all day and run the air conditioner. I gotta travel here shortly, but we're gonna feed everybody, both the tegus and the four snakes, and of course, I need to feed the four snakes all together so no one gets left out, so they don't smell rodent on the other one and get envious and go after one that smells like rodent with a full belly. So they all need to be fed at the same time, so they're all full and they're all happy. And I'm going to feed the tegus a chicken. I'm going to have to cut that chicken up because it's too big for each of my tegus just to eat alone. So they're going to get little pieces of it, but they really, really like whole chicken. Okay, here we go. All right, not for the faint of heart. It's a whole chicken. I don't know how old, maybe 6 months, 3 months, who knows. But I cut the wings off just with a pair of scissors. Having the tegus has made me a lot more able to handle kind of gross things. So there's some good aspects of that. I cut the really long feathers off. I don't think that the feathers and the fur really doesn't contribute much to their diet, as far as nutrients go. So we're just gonna get rid of that extra stuff. And then this is what Sassy gets, the wings. And either one of them can have the neck and the head. Neck and the head right there. And then I cut off. One of them's coming up behind me. I need to be careful so I don't take a toe in a tegu mouth. Cut the legs off. People that prep their chickens, on more of a rural landscape setting, people that go out and take a chicken from the yard and process it, then if you are watching, then you know kind of what I'm doing, and it's not nearly a big a deal to you. And then Mac, that's still rather large for Mac to eat, even though he is a 4-foot tegu. So I usually cut that down the breastbone right there. And this is where it gets kind of gross and icky, because, organs come out. But, it's just the way it is. So then we have these two pieces for Max, so we're going to put these over here, or put those in a container, and then I'm going to wash out the tub, and then put Sassy in here and let her eat this right here. And now we're going to grab this monstrosity. I'm probably going to save the head for, well, I guess she can have the head. Okay, we're going to watch her go to town. Are you eating two things at once? I'm gonna get that from you.
Right.
Oh, okay. Sassy's mouth, even though Sassy's getting up there in size, her mouth just isn't as big and wide as Mac's mouth. Clearly, you can see that in comparison, holding up side by side. She can get those little chicken thighs down pretty good. So Sassy is more of, like in the dinosaur movies, more of a velociraptor. And I guess Mac could be a T-Rex, but he's not as vicious as a T-Rex. But he's, I don't know what other dinosaurs there are that Mac would represent, but Sassy's definitely the very, very movable, very ferocious, that runs on their back legs and really has the really long claws. And you can see when you look into her eyes that she has that heritage. She's just a different breed. And like I said, I don't have multiple tegus, female tegus to compare. They all may be similar to that. But just such a different animal from the male. Did you get too much? She doesn't even let it get down her throat before she eats more. There you go. You ate that one better, sweetie. I'm going to wash out the tub, and then we're going to put Mac in here next and let him eat, and then they will go to bed. And then they will sit under the hot lamp probably tomorrow or this evening for maybe 30 minutes. Can't reiterate what I have found. The Tegus do not like to be in a hot climate. They prefer to be in the low 80s, high 79s, 79, 80, 81, 82. And then when they bask, they choose to get warmer. And then when they want to get out of that warmth, they immediately leave and go into the shade or go into a burrow and cool back down. They do not like to be forced into 90 to 95 to 100 degree temps for many, many hours. And I think that's very important because people just hear that Tegus, man, they need to be kept really, really warm, you know, and when you put them in a big cage and they have nowhere to go to get away from the heat to get down into the mid to high 70s, it's a miserable life for them. And then they try to burrow, and then you don't ever see your Tegu because they're hiding. They're trying to get cooled down. And that's why it's so important to provide a ambient temp gradient, you know, between 76 degrees up to, you know, 85, 87 degrees, and then just a small basking spot to cover their body in 95, 97, maybe 100 degrees. And then you can shoot your lizard with a temp gun and see what their body temps are. And, you know, they don't need to be that hot. You know, 97, 100 degrees, you know, shooting their body if they're under 105 degree lamp for 30 minutes is plenty. Let's see if she wants more. She's looking at my hands, thinking that I have more food, and she would take my hand. If I put my hand down there, she would latch onto my hand, most likely. All right, with Mac, the camera has to be positioned differently because he's bigger and longer, and he'll probably knock the camera over. But let's put the chicken in here. Man, the odd shape of items they eat makes it tough for the Tegus to eat because chickens are just weirdly shaped with their keel and their breastbone, and it's just hard for the Tegus to get past that. That's a big chunk. It makes Mac work for it. I may have to cut it up. No reason to make the Tegus struggle to eat something. I get no pleasure out of them not being able to easily eat something, but let's see if he can get that down. I mean, in the wild, they eat what they eat. They eat what they catch, and they don't want anything to go to waste, and so they don't have someone in the wild, I mean, in nature, cutting up their food for them. So they may have to sit there and work at it for an hour to get that food source down. Oh, gosh, that's gross. Woo! And then they will figure it out that maybe they have to rotate it in their mouth. And when they flip their head really, really fast, and that helps them to shift the food in their mouth to spin it around or get it at a different angle. But since Mac's in my possession, I mean, I can help him out. If he spits that back up and realizes that that's a little tricky to eat, I'll go ahead and cut it down the center. And then I can help him spin it in his mouth. Just got to be real careful, because if they shake their head and you have a pointy object, they can poke their eye out. Come here, Mac, let me cut it. Spit it up, spit it up, spit it up, and I'll cut it up. You got to be careful when you do this, because they can latch onto your hand. There we go. Now he'll get that a lot easier. Sorry, buddy, I didn't mean to give you too big of a piece. Good boy. Is this one going to be the same? Do we need to cut this up too? Well, I'm going to go ahead and cut it up for you. You really gotta love and enjoy your Tegus to do what I'm doing. Hopefully that's not blood coming from his nose. Hopefully that was from the chicken. But I'll wash Mac off and inspect him and make sure. Looks like the blood got in his nose. I'm gonna make sure that's not his blood coming out of his nose, but the chicken blood. And Tegus do in the wild, it's very well documented that they will feast on dead animals that have died or been left by another larger animal, that they will partake in eating food that's already been killed and maybe even, on the verge of rotting and not smelling good and kind of gross. They will take advantage of that. They do that. So that's it for Mac. Mac, that's good for him. He's got plenty of stuff in his belly. Make sure none of that blood is his blood. And it looks like that was the chicken blood. Just always want to make sure that he didn't damage or hurt himself during that adventure. That tasty adventure. Mac is a sweet boy. Can't get too comfortable, because they can easily mistake your hand as for a piece of chicken. Be super cool 1 second and then spiced up the next, and latch onto your hand. So you just gotta be very, very careful. See, I can touch Mac on his mouth and his head, but that can turn around in an instant. You just gotta be able to read your Tegu and be always watching the head and ready to move your hands or anything that he's going after. Okay, we're gonna put you back up. All right, so feeding the Boas, I just spread out towels for my smaller ones that are usually eat up here. I just find that having a towel, they're a little bit more comfortable on a soft surface rather than a hard surface. And they'll actually stay in one place when I put them down, and then I go and get the rodents. I actually need to move Mac out. So if anything goes wrong and a snake falls on the floor, I don't have a hungry Tegu patrolling the area and ready to snap one of them up. Mac would just literally destroy one of the boas. I even would destroy Manny at a little over 4 foot long. This Tegu is so powerful. So we're going to move Mac into another room. And then too, remember, usually when I prep my food, my rats and the mice, I bring them out, I thaw them out, I touch them, but then I wash my hands really good in water, and then I sometimes will come in and grab the snakes. That's not good enough. It's not worth the risk. And so you really got to use soap and water and be, even when you're touching other food, like food that I eat, and then I come in, and work with Mac and Sassy, or I work with the snakes, they might get confused because I have the food that I was eating on my hands, and that just might send them off and have them bite me on my hands. And that's just something I don't like, I don't want. I do not like it at all. Other people may be cool, being bitten. It's like, look, my hands are bloody. I don't like it at all. So I try to always, always, always avoid being bit. So we're gonna come in here. Okay, here's Carmela. Bring her out. I'm gonna set her down. Put her right here. Everything went good, getting her out. Now I gotta find Paisley. All right, here's Paisley. I had to pull her out of a deep corner over there behind the cage. And make sure, when you reach in and grab them, that's always a touchy time. So I used my snake hook just in case they smell mouse or rat in the other room. These are actually going to get mice. So now she's looking ready to go. This one looks a little more calm. We're going to move her right there. And then this one looks ready to go. So I'm not going to even mess around with a 2.5 foot snake. Just don't like to be bit. So let me go get the rodents for them. All right, believe it or not, I am out of my bag of 50 small mice. And I'm gonna go ahead and just give, I went through 50 of those quickly. So I'm gonna give, I think, and I may have said this wrong in the other video, I think Paisley is longer or bigger, or no, they're really about the same. So one's gonna get a small one. I think I'm just gonna do it here. Oh, make sure it doesn't get my hand. Woo, there we go. Number one. This one's gonna be a big one. I have to get it over here so it's in the video. This one's gonna be a big one for this one right here. I think she can manage it. She's a big girl now. Big girl's gonna get a big mouse, or maybe that's a really small rat. I think that's a really small rat. She's gonna graduate. Okay, so this is what has to be done. I've got both snakes eating at the same time. I'm gonna stay with them until they completely get the mice and the rat down. And then I'm going to put them in their own little separate cages for a couple hours. And then I'm going to get my two larger ones out, Manny and Leo, and feed them at the same time and keep them separated, and then watch them 100% of the time until they are done eating, and then put them in cages, and so they can kind of calm down, and then they will go back in the closet this evening, and everyone should be fine. No one should be hungry. No one should be trying to get anything from the other, and we should be all good. That's how it's been working out lately, and I've been doing a good job at that. Leo wouldn't come out of the top up here, so I had to feed him inside the closet, but I have all the snakes out, and he's going to town on his rat. Probably didn't like me shining the light in on him, but I needed to get the footage of him taking it down. Love Leo. Looking back in on Leo. Make sure everything went smoothly. He seems pretty happy. Everything looks good. All right, on to the next snake. All right, here's the majestic Manny, my Nicaraguan boa. I'm gonna feed him next. He came out very easily. Feeding him a little bit before ahead of schedule. It's like number day 11, and I'm gonna probably try to feed him more around every 15 days, but feeding the other ones will just knock it out. So we're gonna put him down and feed him his rat. I don't know what's on his head. His head looks all gray, but we're gonna put him down and let him go to town. Put Manny down right here. He's got a death grip on my hand, of course. Trying to get him off before he notices the rat. Oh my gosh. So difficult. Here, Dodo. Quit flopping around. Now he's wound up in a cord of the light. Gotta be careful, I don't want to confuse him with my hand and the rat. Look who's coming back in. I took him to the other part of the house and he wants to come back. He just pushes the door open. Of course, it's not totally firmly shut, just briefly shut to keep the air conditioner out of here. But there he goes, Matt coming into his room. Oh, that's all the reptiles fed today. A little bit of a task. But Manny, I'm gonna let him just hang out for a little bit, a couple minutes, and then try to untwine him. Oh, that light's probably pretty hot. No, that's not bad. Make sure these lights weren't on, because if they did, that'd be burning him. That's kind of why I didn't want him to fall into this section of lights, but he wanted to go here.